Hello, I'm Theolyn, back with Signs and Wonders. If you want to know as soon as I put a new video up, make sure that you subscribe at theolyn.com and then you'll get a notification. I put up Signs and Wonders a couple of times a week, and I also do a blog called Mystical Wisdom, which has a video with it as well. So there's plenty of content going out for you, and you're always welcome to send in questions and ideas for topics that you would like me to delve into. The videos that I make are usually quite short, but some of them may lead to creating longer classes, especially if I find that there are particular topics that really grab your attention and you want me to unfold them in a bit more depth. So today's topic is, I've just called it the Neverending Story. And there was a famous book, very, very brilliant book, and a movie of the same title. The movie was made in the 80s. And the idea in the story, the Neverending Story, is that a young boy who's being chased by school bullies dodges into an old bookshop and he finds an amazing book, which he borrows it and he hides in a secret place and starts reading it. As he reads it, he realizes that he is part of this story. It's very brilliantly put together because in the original copy that I read, the typography is in two different colours, so that you read the story of the boy reading the story. And that's a very amazing piece of novel writing, really, because it demonstrates that in some way we are reading our own story. And I encourage people to think like that, because when you take an authorial attitude to your own story, and you even start working out the arc of the story and how you want it to end, then you start to take a kind of creative power over your own life. Now, the introductory picture for this video is quite spooky because it comes from the movie, and it's where the hero has to confront this kind of strange creature depicted a bit like a wolf, who is the Nothing. And the Nothing is taking over the land and Fantasia, and everything is falling apart. I mean, it's literally falling apart and disintegrating. And it's the hero's job to try and rescue the Empress of this land, who's living in a palace, but everything's going to crumble around, including her palace, unless he gets there in time. So every story, every hero or heroine story always has a confrontation with something dark. Darth Vader's an obvious one in the Star Wars series. And the hero always has to kind of get some kind of relationship and take some kind of power over something which seems to be out to get him. So we could ask, in our present situation collectively as humanity, is the Nothing out to get us? Will the human race be able to bring something heroic to the platform and not just manage what's going on by inventing a vaccine, but taking some kind of potent insight and bringing that out into the world so we don't need to have another pandemic? Because be rest assured, there will be another one at some time before very long, unless we resolve the issues that have allowed this particular pandemic to develop. Now, I believe that the human race right now, because of the size and the ferocity of this virus that we're dealing with is on the edge, on this, potentially on this liminal space of saying, hold on, we have creative intelligence, and partly our intelligence has been misused, but we have this creative intelligence and we're going to apply it, obviously, to making vaccines for those who want them. And yet, what is more of an issue is applying our intelligence and our love and our power, those three things which make us in the image of the divine. We have those three qualities: power, love, wisdom, which is intelligence, knowledge of how to do things. So those three things combined mean that we are God. Collectively, we are playing God for our own future. We are being the author of this story that we are in, collectively. Individually, we are authoring our own stories. And if we can see how our personal stories might weave in to the larger tapestry of the whole story, then we become collaborators with a larger scheme. We want to know what our own story is, because why are we here? But we also want to know, well, how does that small story of mine, this individual, little sparky story that I'm creating, how does that fit into the larger picture? And if it fits into the larger picture, what kind of contribution can it make to something beautiful, harmonious, loving, that benefits not just me and my little story, but benefits the larger community? And when we engage with that, then we start picking up a kind of hyper energy that's not only informing our personal stories and allowing those to flourish, but in the flourishing, in the blossoming of our own individual stories, we are contributing to this collective story. So I want to ask you at the end of this short video to consider a couple of questions. One question is, why are you following this kind of content in most likely not just my videos, but other people's videos? Why are those calling to you? Is it because you have some personal desire to sort out your own story, to kind of calibrate what your story could be for this incarnation? And that is a crucial thing for every individual to work through. There's no point in, having this divine gift of life unless you have something that you can say, yes, I've been given this gift and this is how I'm going to use it. So that might be one reason why you're following me or following other people who are putting out videos at this time. But another reason might be that, yes, I'm beginning to get a handle on my own story, and my own story involves me offering something to others, offering to take forward what I've learned so far, even if I don't feel like I've learned everything I want to know. But I've learned something, and I'm willing to share it, and I want to find more ways to share it. So those two are very intertwined. It's true that it's important to know your own story first, and your own story might be quite quiet, if you like, quite introverted, but nonetheless, even so, whatever you do is going to participate in the whole tapestry of the mega story. So you can't get away from that anyway. But once you've worked out what that story is, or you've found the support that you need for taking you further in your process, once you've got that far, then it's almost natural and certainly appropriate to say, yes, once I'm on that, how can I start sharing? And as I say, you can start sharing even before you feel totally qualified, because you'll never be qualified, really. You can study topics for years and years and years, and you'll never know enough. And by the sharing of it and by the questions that you receive, this is what I find, then I learn more. The teacher needs a student, because then the teacher knows what has to be discovered, and so it's a collaboration. So I invite you to look at my courses, but certainly I suggest that you find something empowering to do in 2021, something that will make you feel at the end of the year, yes, I've done something really strong for myself, and possibly that you've already started sharing the insights with other people. So you and I are in a never-ending story. You and I and humanity as a collective is dealing with something very difficult, something like the nothing. And yet we know it's a never-ending story, and that there is a light at the end of the story. And that if you watch the movie, you will discover what that light is about. There's a creative little flicker of light, and sometimes that's called hope. But hope is a kind of slightly weak word, I think, because it implies that it might not come to fruition. But I think that flame actually is something like desire, because desire is very strong. It's very much guided by the divine, and it's very, very, very powerful. So if it's your desire to be involved and to contribute to a new story for yourself and for humanity, then keep that in mind. Keep on track. If it's not one of my courses, it'll be something else. And just keep shining. Just keep the desire alight in your heart, and what you need will come to you one way or another. Many blessings.